please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Okay, all right. Green on the screen. Things are looking good, but plenty of stocks moving and shaking. So let's start off with the pharma stocks. Ekta's with us. Top gain on the Nifty. CIPLA. Ekta.
Well, yes, in fact, it is at a 4-month high for the stock. It's more of a sentiment positive today that they've received approval for an HIV drug, Sustiva generic. The market size is around $100 million. Now, it is probably a spate of approvals that the stock is now reacting to. So, for example, on June 13th, they had received an approval for an injection for cardiac conditions, and that market size was around 148 million. And way back in May, they had received 2 approvals for 2 drugs, one which was an ophthalmic solution and the other one for a breast cancer drug. So it's probably the pace of approvals which are picking up for CIPLA, and obviously the overall interest which is taking place in the pharmaceutical space, which is adding to the momentum that you're seeing for the stock today.
All right, thank you very much for that. In the green, but off from the morning gains. Sonia joins us to tell us more about aviation stocks flying low today.
Yes, in fact, the passenger traffic growth for this month has been quite weak, actually. I mean, it's still a growth, but less than what we've seen in the past 20 months. So in the month of May, it's been a 16.5% growth that you've seen for passenger traffic. You'll see that graph. It's slowed down quite a bit compared to an average of a 20% growth we've seen over the past 3 months or so. Now, what has also happened this month is that fuel prices have risen, as we know. Crude is almost at $76 a barrel. So the companies have passed on this higher fuel prices to consumers in the form of higher fares. And because of that, demand has been a bit sluggish. It's around 11.9 million passengers. So the overall absolute number of passengers is still around that, sort of 11 to 13 million unit, which is not bad. It's just that the growth rates have started to slow down a bit. In terms of market share, Indigo's market share has actually picked up. It stands at plus 40% now. And a couple of the others have lost a bit of ground. But overall, I think it's the slowdown in the passenger traffic that is a bit of a concern.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Sonia. Well, let's hop across to Sonal. She's here to tell us about UPL and their adventurous plans. Sonal.
Well, Nigel, UPL is weak in trade today because there are reports that are suggesting that a consortium including Indian chemical producer UPL is in exclusive talks to acquire the pesticides business of Platform Specialty Products Corp, and also the enterprise value that is pegged at around $4 million, and that is equivalent to around 26,000 crore rupees. Now, if we look at UPL's financials, the debt in the books of the company stood at around 6,500 crores as in 31st March 2018. The cash was around 2,900 crores, and the gross debt to equity ratio is at around 0.9 times. So we'll have to see what really is the amount that UPL will be willing to put in. However, these are just reports, and CNBC TV18 has not independently verified them.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Sonal. IIFL has just wrapped up a fundraising exercise, mopping up 746 crore in their wealth management business by diluting a 5.1% stake. We caught up with Nirmal Jain, the chairman of IIFL, to throw more light on this and his plans to list IIFL Wealth. Listen in to what he had to say.
3 companies will get independently listed, which includes IIFL Wealth, and that process is already underway. So it's, we are waiting for the regulators' approval, and then we will go to NCLT, and there are a lot of other processes. So it's very difficult to predict that how timeline about regulatory approval, but if everything goes as on track and within the expected timelines, then yes, maybe in the last quarter of this financial year, these companies should get listed separately. This capital we have raised in wealth business is primarily for the Wealth NBFC, which is the subsidiary of Wealth, and AMC business, which again is a subsidiary of Wealth. And these 2 businesses have been growing fairly well, and they'll need capital to make sure that the capital adequacy is maintained as we grow.
Well, CGPA has been seeing a lot of selling pressure, but today I think Kotak came out with a note. Anisha is with us. They are sounding quite positive, Anisha. They believe that most of the bad news at least, is in the price.
Well, exactly, Nigel. CGPA is down about 40% for the year. It was one of our candidates for hunting for value analysis as well. Now, over the last couple of years, the company has had a tumultuous journey, but the brokerages have always been positive on the counter. Today, as you mentioned, Kotak has upgraded the stock. Now, they say that even if you assume that the Hungary deal would get pushed back by 2 quarters and there will be additional losses of 200 crores, they still believe that the core standalone business is actually improved. improving, and that's the reason they've upgraded the stock rating to a buy now. And they also believe that given the fact that the company is doing well in the motor business, they're focusing as far as the railways business is concerned. Also the fact that they've moved away from the power segment, which was seeing a bit of slowdown, to the industrial segment is also positive. Now the company is looking to maintain the margin profile as well as they're trying to manage the working capital in a better way, and that is what is actually making the brokerages like Kotak positive. Let's see whether the street buys that or not. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Manisha, for that. Vedanta is also trading higher along with the rest of the metals pack. Jude joins us for the latest there. Jude?
Oh, well, in a very significant move as far as the Vedanta case in Tuticorin is concerned. Vedanta, of course, has filed an affidavit at the Madurai bench of the Madras High Court, stating that, of course, with regard to the closure, seal, and, of course, cutting off of electricity and power, water supply to the plant is concerned. Vedanta says that's probably because the action resulted in, the sulfuric acid leakage, which occurred just a couple of days ago. Vedanta now has filed an affidavit at the Madurai bench of the Madras High Court, stating, seeking access to the Tuticorin plant to conduct maintenance checks, and of course to also is also seeking partial restoration of power to the plant to conduct these checks. The affidavit also states that as far as the closure and sealing of the plant is concerned, the local administration acted in haste with regard to appeasing the protesters, who of course have been staging a 100-day-long protest in Tuticorin demanding the closure of the plant. That case, I suppose, is slated to come up for hearing at the Madurai bench of the Madras High Court later in the afternoon today. Back to you.
Okay, all right, Joe, thanks so much. Well, the stock as well had moved to a 52-week low. So from there, it's seeing a bit of a bounce. But moving on then, the Avanti feed stock, that's seen a sharp decline this year. This after clocking huge gains and being a multi-bagger in 2017. We spoke to Mr. Kumar, the MD of the company, earlier today. He says the company has no further plans of raising funds.
We have completed our expansion this year. In March, we completed our expansion. Definitely we'll carefully watch and we'll be expanding the capacities. Because we have taken enough leverage into the expansion, and I think we can do it within the same capacity.
All right, a quick recap then of the top buzzing stocks that we're tracking at noon. We've got CIPLA aviation stocks like Jet Airways, SpiceJet, Interglobe Aviation. UPL is on the downside on a potential M&A activity. IIFL, CG Power, Vedanta, as well as Avanti Fields. Get into a short break then. On that note, on the other side, welcome back. Recouping gains, recouping yesterday's losses for our own markets. Gains are led by Reliance Industries. So that's the top mover. A gain of close to about 2.1%, contributing nearly 40% of the upside in today's trade. Apart from that, pharmaceutical, private sector banks, so Yes Bank, Axis Bank, Innocent Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank are all seeing a rally of close to about 1 to 1.5%. But it's time now to turn our attention to our corporate radar. Asian Granito is in focus after the company has signed an agreement to procure wall tiles from Vedanta Ceramics. To understand this in greater detail, we are now joined by the management. Good afternoon, Mr. Shah, and thanks so much for joining in. If you could tell us what is the amount that you will be procuring from Vedanta Ceramics annually, how much will be the outgo, and is it less or more than what your remaining wall tiles are? Will this be a margin accretive deal for you?
Yeah, recently that we have made an arrangement for these wall tiles, particularly in 12 by 18 size, which is a very good demand in the market also. So earlier we used to procure this from 4 to 5 plants. So instead of that, we are now just procuring from the single plant. And for that, we have made this exclusive outsource arrangement from the single plant. With technology and all the designs will be provided by the AGL to that plant with the latest technology. And that plant is being set up with a new high technology machines. And that production is also being started from the recently before 2 months. So now AGL is very confident to get a high quality standard according to his design and all the standards, the good materials. The quantum will be around 80 crores per annum, which was earlier we used to get this material for 4 to 5 plants, from the Morbi unorganized sectors, which was around 50 crores.
So you're saying the outgo will go up for the company by nearly 30 crores for the same quantity of tiles?
See, basically, these are 4 million square meters. These are total quantum will be the tiles in these sectors, in these particular segments in volatiles. So our turnover in that segments will also increase by 50% also.
All right. So let's focus on your business on the whole then. Last year, your growth was in single digits, right? You did around 9% growth on the top line?
Yeah, on YOY basis, on yearly, it was at 9%.
I'm just wondering, your volume growth, I believe, is more than 20%. You're adding in terms of your glass, your vitrified tiles, right? The proportion of sales there has gone up. Right. So your value addition is going up, your volumes are going up. Then yet, in fact, how it's growing only by 9%? If you could explain that to us, or is it the GST impact, or are we not comparing like to like? Help us out, sir.
Yeah, definitely, because if you can see, there was in the last year, there was a GST was there.
Okay.
So in YOY comparisons, if you eliminating the excise duty components, which was in the outsourced materials.
Okay.
So earlier in the earlier tax structure, it was an excise element if you eliminating this.
Okay.
So technically, instead of 9% on like basis on YOY, it was around 15%. So technically, 10% was the price reduction, particularly in the GVT on the whole year in the last year.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So what are you guiding for FY19 in terms of revenue growth and volume growth?
Yeah, definitely we are confident this time also, because these 2 quarters looks to be a very steady, but after the monsoon is also likely to be very good in this financial year. So in the second and third quarter, the volume and value growth will be good. We are expecting also a double-digit growth.
For the year, sir, for the year, what kind of a growth can you do?
See, in the double-digit, we definitely will do the volume growth also.
Okay, double-digit revenue and volume growth. All right. Very recently, the Gujarat High Court has asked, has been asked by the Gujarat Control Pollution Board to stop Morbi's coal gasifiers. How will this impact you? Do you use CNG as a fuel, or do you use coal-based thermal plants, provide fuel for your company?
No, basically it's a very good judgment that is being recently passed by the Gujarat High Court. And I would narrate that it will be a very beneficial to the organized player like us. As the Morbi organized player, majority of them, so it is already been mentioned that 403 units are already being won about to utilize these gasifier coal base. So what they used to do, the coal is also available in the say at a cheap rate also. So what will happen now, because of this, they will force to utilize instead of coal gasifier, they will be diverted into gas facility that we normally use. All organized players are using these gas-based pipeline.
So your as it is using, Mr. Shah, your as it is using gas, so for you it doesn't make any difference, or were you dependent on coal for some part?
We do not have any difference. We already use the gas.
Already use gas. So this doesn't make any impact to you is what you're trying to tell us.
But the impact will be positive, because what unorganized player now will shifted from instead of using this gasifier in coal base, they will be used to now the gas in their kiln. So compulsorily they have to purchase in the gas, and then because of that, the price impact will be there on them.
Okay.
So there is a price difference between unorganized to organized will be cut down.
Okay, Mr.
It will
Shah,
be a positive sign.
Okay, Mr. Shah, so you're saying mostly it's going to be positive for you with regard to this this change that has come about. Very quickly, if you tell us, you're talking about pricing. Have you undertaken any price increase so far in this year?
Yeah.
And if you could give us a sense, sir, what exactly can your margins be? Last year you did roughly around 12%. What kind of margins can you guide us for besides the double-digit top line you're talking about?
Yeah, definitely this time also here, because gas price is also recently increased in this month also. So we are also passing this hike also to our dealers and customers. So in the next months probably we are also going to rise in our all tiles verticals. And I would just give you this time also we will maintain the same margin level that we previously did in the financial year that we have done.
Okay. What about any store expansion plans?
We are not going for any capex plan this financial year.
Okay, all right. Mr. Shah, very quickly before we let you go, we have to ask you this question. I remember last year you had done some creeping acquisition, right, from the open market. The promoters had increased their share by a couple of percentage points. Now your stock has seen a sharp correction from the recent peak, and it also appears there's a small quantity of sale by the promoter. What's the plan going ahead? Are you going to be looking at increasing stake from here, or what you bought last year, are you looking at selling that in the market? Give us the sense, because the price has come down. I've seen a sharp correction from the peak.
I had also told you last time also that there is a one member, it was in a promoter group. So their share is now around 1% of our total shareholding, so which is a very minimum number. So of course there is a selling from that particular member who is not actually involved in our group right now.
Okay.
But as far as his personal any needs is concerned,
but he has sold. Has he sold? I mean, irrespective, the market would like to know: has he sold that 1%? Will he sell that 1%? And if he sells that 1%,
no, it will not be there. But as far as this concern is, the management is also very much aggressive on that, and gradually, whenever is requirement, we will also acquire in the promoter stakes.
To what level will the promoter stake go to? Just give us that simple answer, sir.
Just it depends on the all our cash flow requirements and everything is all depends on. But within the 5% limits, gradually we can just acquire the creeping acquisitions, say around by 2% or like that.
All right, Mr. Shah, we leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining in. So promoters are open to increasing their stake in the company. Get into a break. Then on that note, on the other side, we'll address the market technicals with our experts. Stay tuned.
Well, keep an eye out on the screen. You know, a lot of stocks are moving around. Also, if we can get the intraday chart actually of the Hang Seng market, I think that saw some profit booking from the top. So we can just get that, the intraday chart out there. That's lost a bit from the top. The Nifty is still holding with gains of around 50 points. But the Hang Seng at one point of time, that was up close to around 1.5% or thereabouts. I think it's lost a tad bit from the high point of the day. It's come off marginally. It was up more than 450 points. So just keep an eye out. Some profit booking from the top is what we're seeing out there. But CNBC TV18's Utkarsh Chaturvedi caught up with Mr. Pawan Munjal, the MD and CEO of Hero MotoCorp, from the sidelines of the FIFA World Cup 2018 that's currently underway in Russia, to get a sense of whether he sees growth in the company's motorcycle business over the last 3 to 4 months. Let's listen in to what he had to tell us.
I'm very optimistic. The previous fiscal has been very good for Hero. This fiscal, the first 2 months have been great. I think we're going to have a very good year. Fiscal 19 is going to be very good for the entire industry, and we are going to do better than the industry.
So speaking of Hero itself, I remember when I last spoke to you during Auto Expo, when you launched your new products on the focus area you spoke about, scooters and premium motorcycles. How have they been doing?
We are all set and ready to go. We will be very soon launching our Extreme 200, followed by the scooters, and then followed by the Experts.
So by then, do you really think the market share in the premium side, Hero will have a sizable market share in the 150 plus cc segment?
Well, we are taking our first steps there with the launch of the Extreme 200, with the Experts, and that's how we keep increasing our market share there. Also, the same with the scooters.
And in the bread and butter segment, sir, in the commuter segment, how have we been doing? And do you think that segment to grow as healthy?
We've been doing very good in the bread and butter segment. We've got a lot of products there. We keep working on our products, renewing them, bringing in new products, and we are increasing our market share in the bread and butter segment.
And speaking about the new launches, how many launches in the premium and scooter segment we can see, say, in this fiscal?
We will keep doing what we've been doing in the past. We will keep letting our customers enjoy Hero's products. We will keep increasing the number of launches. The CIT, the Center for Innovation and Technology at Jaipur, is working very, very hard, and they are doing a lot of work there with new products, also with the BS6 emission norms which are coming in very soon.
And any numbers you can give our viewers, how many new products in this fiscal can Hero see?
As I said, we will keep delighting our customers like always.
So speaking about BS6, how big that challenge is, and I'd also like you to give us some idea about the electric vehicles and electric two-wheelers you're speaking about.
Yeah, BS6 has been a challenge, but we are all working on the challenge and we are ready for the challenge. We are changing, modifying all our engines for BS6, and we will be ready before the 1st of April 2020.
Okay, that is coming straight from Moscow, but let's turn our attention back home. Let's invite our experts, Mitesh Thakkar and Sandeep Wagle, on the show now. Hi Mitesh, afternoon. First, your thoughts on the Nifty so far. We're holding on to these levels. There has been a extension of the rally from early morning gains. What happens from here on?
Yeah. So I think, what has happened technically, which is important, is that we kind of held on to the levels of 10,700, which were tested yesterday. I think that keeps us in a range of about 10,700 to broadly about 10,820, with some minor supply point at 10,775, which was an intraday support. Only I think if we break 10,700, I think we'll see some kind of decline come into the place. For the time being, it's a choppy kind of a sideways kind of a market between 100 and 120 point kind of a range. And the stock calls that I have right now is a combination of one buy and one sell. MRF is a sell if it breaks below 74,000. Go short with a stop at 74,400. Look for targets of 73,000. And Piramal Enterprises is a buy with a stop at 2480 for targets of 2650.
Okay, all right. So that's Mitesh's picks for today. Sandeep, coming across to you. How would you trade the index, and what were the picks you have for us?
Afternoon, Nigel. I would talk of a similar level, 10,700, 720, 10,820, 840. This 120 point range is what I would talk of. And stock-specific moves, but as of now, the Bank Nifty is leading, so I would be positive more on the Bank Nifty. Stock-specific, I would go with a buy in a Tata Elxsi, stop loss 1310, target 1360, and a sell in a National Aluminium Nalco, stop loss of 70, target 64.
Nitesh, what's happening in pharma today? CIPLA has come off from the top of the day. Dr. Reddy's had a one-way up move in the last 2 weeks. Today it's come in for some amount of correction. As we speak, it's down close to about 1%. Just for the near term, do you believe there is not much upside left in pharma names? Much upside left in pharma names to buy right now?
I think upside will happen eventually, but what has also happened is that in most of the cases, these stocks have gone up, and in the month of June only, they've gone up by 15%, about 25% on the upside. So I think, after this kind of a rally in the last 2.5 weeks, there will be some kind of pullback or settling down as the prices run up too far away from its short-term moving averages. So I would be a buyer on declines over here. The trend is still on the upside, but you might get a few days of pullback or sideways activity or consolidation before the stocks start moving up again. So clearly the sector enjoys momentum, but buy on dips, any 3-4% kind of dip in most of these stocks, I would be a buyer.
Okay, all right, Mitesh and Sandeep, thanks so much for joining in and giving us your stock calls as well as your call on the index. Well, we'll slip into a short break. As we do that, let's get in some market opinion from Lawrence Blanco of CLSA on the outlook of the Nifty as well as the target for the Nifty Bank going ahead. Let's listen in. We'll get chatting with the management of Mahindra Lifespace on the other side of the short break.
If you're looking at simple trend definitions, Nifty's still in the uptrend, and to me the 50-day moving average around the 10,659 area for Nifty is key, and as long as that remains intact, your immediate bias is to the upside. It's probably worth bearing in mind if you look at the Indian market in dollar terms relative to the broader emerging market index, you've actually broken the downtrend of underperformance since the 2016 highs. So while the rest of emerging markets sell off in relative terms, India's holding in there quite well. If you look at Nifty banks, the uptrend is still there. We're still above the 50-day, and yeah, we have seen some hesitation at 27,000, which is just below the January highs. But even with this recent volatility, we haven't violated any of the short-term support areas or the longer-term support areas. We still have that 31,000 ultimate upside target, and we'd be looking at that 50-day holding the short-term pullbacks.